Have you ever wondered why a tiny object sitting on someone's wrist can instantly command respect? Why do billionaires, world leaders, athletes, celebrities, and successful entrepreneurs all seem to wear the same brand? What makes a Rolex so special that people are willing to wait years just to buy one? And why have some Rolex watches sold for millions of dollars at auction? Well, the answer has very little to do with simply telling time. Because Rolex isn't just selling watches, it's selling history, innovation, status, and perhaps the greatest brand image ever created. But here's the incredible part. The story of Rolex didn't begin in a luxurious Swiss factory. It didn't begin with a billionaire. And it certainly didn't begin with unlimited money. It began with an orphan who refused to accept the limits everyone else believed in. His name was Hans Wilsdorf. Born in Germany in 1881, Hans lived a comfortable childhood for only a short time. At the age of 12, tragedy struck when both of his parents passed away. Suddenly, he was left alone in a world that expected very little from him. Most people in that situation would have accepted defeat. Hans didn't. He focused on education, learned several languages, developed strong business skills, and became fascinated by one industry that would completely change his life: watches. At the beginning of the 20th century, watches looked very different from what we know today. Almost every man carried a pocket watch. It was considered elegant, reliable, and professional. Wristwatches, on the other hand, were viewed as delicate fashion accessories designed mainly for women. Many experts believed a wristwatch could never be accurate enough for serious use. But Hans saw an opportunity where everyone else saw a limitation. He believed the future belonged to wristwatches. In 1905, at just 24 years old, Hans moved to London and founded a small company with his brother-in-law, Alfred Davis. The business imported high-quality Swiss watch movements and assembled them in England. Money was limited. Competition was fierce. Failure was a real possibility. But Hans had one obsession. He wanted to build the most accurate wristwatch in the world. Instead of cutting costs, he invested in quality. Instead of rushing production, he demanded perfection. Instead of following the market, he tried to change it. Then came another challenge. The company needed a name. Hans wanted something simple, something people everywhere could pronounce, something elegant enough to fit on a tiny watch dial. After months of searching, he found it. Rolex. Just 5 letters. Nobody knew it then, but those 5 letters would one day become one of the most valuable names on Earth. Still, people didn't trust wristwatches, so Hans knew he needed proof. Real proof. In 1910, Rolex became the first wristwatch ever awarded an official chronometer certification for precision. For the first time in history, a wristwatch had proven it could be just as accurate as the large pocket watches everyone trusted. Only 4 years later, Rolex received another prestigious certificate from Britain's Kew Observatory, one of the toughest accuracy tests in the world. Suddenly, the industry had no choice but to take Rolex seriously. But Hans wasn't finished. He asked himself another question. What destroys most watches? The answer was obvious. Water, dust, and moisture. At the time, even a small amount of water could destroy an expensive watch. So Hans challenged his engineers to solve the problem. After years of development, Rolex introduced something that changed watchmaking forever: the Rolex Oyster, the world's first truly waterproof and dust-proof wristwatch. Many people thought it was just another advertising claim. Hans had a better idea. Instead of telling people, he would show them. In 1927, a young swimmer named Mercedes Gleitze attempted to swim across the freezing English Channel while wearing a Rolex oyster around her neck. She spent more than 10 hours in the water. When she finally completed the swim, something unbelievable happened. The watch was still ticking perfectly. Newspapers around the world covered the story. Rolex had just created one of the greatest marketing campaigns in history. From that moment on, Rolex became known as the watch that could survive almost anything. Hans understood something most companies still struggle to understand today. People don't remember advertisements. They remember stories. And Rolex became a company built on unforgettable stories. As aviation expanded, Rolex created watches for pilots. As deep-sea exploration became possible, Rolex built watches for divers. When mountaineers challenged the world's tallest peaks, Rolex went with them. During expeditions to Mount Everest, Rolex watches proved their reliability in freezing temperatures and extreme conditions. Later, Rolex watches traveled thousands of meters beneath the ocean, demonstrating incredible engineering under crushing pressure. Every adventure became another chapter in the Rolex story. Instead of paying celebrities to create an image, Rolex earned its reputation through real achievements. Over the decades, Rolex introduced one legendary model after another. The Datejust became the world's first self-winding wristwatch with an automatically changing date. The Submariner completely changed diving watches and became the most recognizable dive watch ever created. The GMT Master helped airline pilots keep track of multiple time zones during international flights. The Daytona became one of the most famous racing watches in history, and later, one of the most collectible watches ever made. Each model wasn't just beautiful. It solved real problems. It served real professionals, and it strengthened Rolex's reputation for excellence. But perhaps Rolex's smartest business decision had nothing to do with engineering. It was scarcity. Today, Rolex has the ability to produce far more watches than it actually does, but it chooses not to. Instead, demand is kept higher than supply. As a result, customers often wait months or even years to purchase certain models. Some buyers even pay significantly more on the resale market simply because they don't want to wait. Scarcity created exclusivity, and exclusivity created desire. The harder a Rolex became to obtain, the more people wanted one. That's one of the greatest luxury marketing strategies ever executed. People often ask why Rolex watches cost so much. Yes, they use premium materials. Yes, they are built with extraordinary precision. Yes, every movement is tested extensively before leaving the factory. But none of those things alone explain the price. People aren't simply buying steel, gold, or sapphire crystal. They're buying trust. They're buying craftsmanship. They're buying over 100 years of innovation. And they're buying one of the strongest reputations any company has ever built. One of the most surprising facts about Rolex is that it isn't owned by a billionaire family. The company is controlled by the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation, helping preserve the founder's vision while supporting charitable causes. Rolex also remains one of the most private companies in the world. It rarely reveals financial details. It almost never follows trends. Instead, it follows its own path. And perhaps that's exactly why it has remained at the top for more than a century. Today, Rolex is far more than a watch company. It has become a global symbol of achievement. For many people, buying their first Rolex marks years of hard work, sacrifice, and success. It's not simply about knowing the time. It's about remembering the journey. From a young orphan with an impossible dream to the world's most respected luxury watch brand. The story of Rolex proves one timeless lesson. Great brands aren't built overnight. They're built through vision, consistency, innovation, and the courage to believe in an idea long before anyone else does. And that's why every time you see a Rolex on someone's wrist, you're not just looking at a watch. You're looking at over a century of ambition, craftsmanship, and one extraordinary dream that changed the world forever.